Hey there, it's Tom Corson-Knowles, founder of TCK Publishing and best-selling author of Secrets of the Six-Figure Author. In this video, I want to share with you some very important tips on your nonfiction submission to help you dramatically increase your chances of getting a book deal, whether you work with TCK Publishing or another publisher or literary agent. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 13 key things that will dramatically increase your chances of getting a book deal. So pay close attention, and I highly recommend you watch this entire video and follow the recommendations in this video before you submit your manuscript to TCK Publishing. And what this will do when you follow this process is it will give you a much better chance of getting a book deal, getting your book published, and helping you become a best-selling author. Now again, whether you work with us or not, these tips will dramatically help you. This is going to make a big difference for you. If you follow these steps, you will set yourself way apart from the crowd. Now we get thousands of submissions, right? We have thousands of submissions right now in our submissions log, and we only get to accept about 1% of the submissions. And the reason is because most authors who submit their manuscripts, they don't do these things. And because they don't do these things, they basically shoot themselves in the foot. So I want to save you from that pain, from that misery of rejection after rejection after rejection. And I can't promise you that if you follow these steps, you won't get rejected. But I will promise you that if you follow these steps, you will have a better manuscript, a better book proposal, and a much better chance of getting your book published. So to start, I want to tell you the story about the woodsman, right? So there's this woodsman, and someone asked him, what would you do if you had just 5 minutes to chop down a tree? What would you do? You only have 5 minutes. And he says, look, I would take the first 2.5 minutes, and I would sharpen my axe. Because if I'm going to cut down a tree fast, I need a sharp axe, right? And so I want to take a few minutes to help you sharpen your perspective, right? If you're going to submit your book, right, and you want to get your book deal, you want to get it published fast, you have to take the time to sharpen your axe. You have to sharpen your skills. You have to sharpen your manuscript. You have to sharpen your book proposal. You have to do the little things to prepare yourself for success. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do right now. So step one is you have to do your very best, right? Sharpen your axe, do your homework, get prepared, do your very best. So before you send that submission email, right, review your manuscript, review your email, review your pitch, review everything that you've created, and ask yourself, like, is this book my true legacy, right? Is this my best work, right? Is there anything I could do to make this better? So let me tell you a story from my own life where I learned this lesson in a big, big way because of a big failure. So I was in business school at Indiana University, and I was in a special program called the Spine Sweat Experience. And in my senior year, what I got to do is I got to create a real business plan and launch a real business. And what we were able to do is actually pitch our business to investors. And if they liked our pitch, if they wanted to invest in our business, not only would they want to invest in our business, but number two, they would give us thousands of dollars in cash, free, no strings attached, just free cash for me to start my own business and to live my dream. So I did everything. I mean, I worked so hard on this business plan for months and months and months. I did all the research, put so much together, had this amazing presentation. I practiced for weeks the presentation to get it down, and I feel like I just nailed it. I mean, I was in front of these guys, and they were listening. They were asking great questions. I answered their questions really well. I mean, it was amazing. Like, I did a great job. At least I thought I did. But they didn't want to invest in my business, and they didn't give me the cash, and I almost didn't pass the class. Why? Because I made one simple mistake. You see, it was a restaurant business, restaurant idea, and I had created a menu, but I didn't add any prices on the menu. So I had a full menu with everything that was going to be at the restaurant. I had the full business plan, the marketing plan, the financials. I mean, I had everything except the prices on the menu. And so I didn't get the money. I didn't get the cash. I didn't get the investment. They said, look, if you had just done this one thing, right? If you had just shown us that you were willing to do all the work, but you didn't, you left out that one thing. And that one thing, no matter how small, it can make all the difference. So I share this story with you because that one thing with your manuscript, that one mistake you make, that one thing you don't do, that one thing you don't fix, that one thing where you say in your mind, I could do this better, but you choose not to, that one thing could get your manuscript rejected. And I want to protect you from that. So do your best. When you're reviewing your manuscript, if you have a single thought of something you could do better, do it before you submit. Do your very best, and take this principle to everything you do in life, in your relationships, in your health, in your business, in your writing, in your career, everything you do your very best. Don't skip a step, no matter how small, right? If you're gonna sweep the floor 100%. If you're gonna submit your manuscript, submit it 100%. Do everything you can. Do your very, very best, because this is your life, and this is a part of your legacy, and you owe it to yourself to do your very best, to give yourself the best chance to succeed. Don't be like I was when I was in college. Don't skip one step. That will cost you so much in the long run. All right, step 2, when you submit to TCK Publishing, you need to submit your full manuscript. We don't accept book proposals for nonfiction books, and we don't accept sample chapters. So we are very different from a lot of other publishers who only accept book proposals or sample chapters for nonfiction. We're different. We want to see the whole book because we invest heavily in editing. And our editors need to see your whole book, the whole story, the whole enchilada, in order for us to make a good decision as to whether or not we want to work with you and publish your book. So you need to submit your full manuscript and follow all the submission guidelines on this page in order to actually get your book accepted by TCK Publishing. Number 3, you need to double check everything, right? This again, it goes back to doing your best. You know, edit your work, have some friends review it, have an editor review it, fix your typos, fix grammatical errors, you know, fix every little thing, double check it, read it again and again and again. You know, if you're reading your manuscript and you can still find typos and find errors and things you need to improve with the book, you need to do that before you submit, right? Don't let those typos just go, you know, the little things do matter, right? Little things do matter. So if you can fix it, and then submit it. Make it the best you can possibly make it. Step 4, you need to fact check, right? It is very important for nonfiction work that you fact check yourself, right? You avoid stating your opinions as if they're facts. A lot of nonfiction authors make this mistake. They'll say, you know, well, I believe such and such and such. They don't say I believe, they say this is the way it is, but really they're just stating their opinion as a fact. So make sure that if you're talking about what you think is true, but you don't have data and research and facts to back it up, you need to state that as your opinion, right? You need to be clear that you're not saying XYZ thing cures cancer, even though there's no research showing that it does, right? You got to back up statements with facts and research. And if you can't do that, you need to be clear that this is your opinion and not a fact. And if you're citing research in your manuscript, make sure your research is up to date. Right, we get a lot of submissions sometimes where authors, you know, submit work that maybe they wrote 5 or 10, 15 years ago, and it's got all these scientific citations and references, but their data is from like 10 years ago, right? And you can't publish something right now, this year, today, with something data that's from like 2000. It's just out of date, right? Technology, information is changing so fast now. You have to make sure that your research is up to date, right? So make sure you do that before you submit to give yourself the highest chance of getting a book deal. Number 5, you need to cite your sources, right? So at TCK Publishing and many publishers use the Chicago Manual Style or CMS for citations. So you can just Google Chicago Manual Style citations and it'll show you how to do your citations properly. So make sure you cite your sources. You can use whatever, you don't have to use CMS when you submit, because our editors can always change that later, but you do have to cite your sources. And you have to use some kind of way that's recognized by the industry that is an acceptable way of citing your sources. So make sure if you're citing sources that you do that with your work, right? If you've done research, if you read other books, if you read websites, you need to cite those sources in your manuscript. Number 6 is about images. So big mistake a lot of authors make is they just take images from Google and blogs and websites and put them in the manuscript. And that's a big mistake because it can get you into a lot of legal trouble, okay? So do not put any images in your manuscript at all unless you own the rights for them. So if you paid an illustrator, you have a contract with an illustrator for them to sell you the rights to these images, by all means insert them, right? But if you got them on the internet, on Google somewhere, and they're not available for commercial use, do not put them in the book. Number 7 is you have to captivate the reader from page 1. The introduction to your nonfiction book is the most important part of your entire book by far, because readers at bookstores and readers on Amazon, they're going to open up to that first chapter, the first introduction, and they're going to start reading. And if they're not hooked from page 1, they're going to put the book back on the shelf, they're going to click away, they're not going to buy your book, and you're not going to have lots of readers. So you have to captivate folks from page 1. And a great way to do this is to research on Amazon. Go look on Amazon for the best-selling books in your market, the books with the most reviews and the most sales that are as similar to your book as possible. So if you have a book on investing, find the top 10 or 20 or 30 books on investing on Amazon and read the first chapters, the first page of each of those books, and see how they get readers hooked, how they get to captivate readers from the first page. Some of them are going to do it really well, some of them not so well. Learn from those books and model what works. Write a great introduction, a great first page. If you mess that part up, not only is it going to be a lot harder to sell books, it's going to be a lot harder to get a book deal. Number 8 is you need to make sure your book is a mass market. Right? We are a mass market publisher, and most publishers are mass market publishers. So, for example, if you have a book on how to install a sprinkler system, it's just too niche. It's just not a big enough market, right? Whereas if you have a book on how to be healthy and age well and live to 100, that has a wide appeal, right? So make sure that your book has a wide appeal as much as possible, right? You don't want your book to be too niche. Another great example is we had a submission recently that was amazing. It was a fabulous book. It was about the environment. It was about climate change, and it was about and it was targeted to people who want to work in climate science, right? And that's just too niche of a market. There's only so many people who are in that field. Had they written the same information, but made it applicable to people all over the world who are interested in the earth and climate, they would have had a much bigger audience for the book. And we probably would have given them a great book deal. We would have been really excited about publishing that book. But that's not what they'd had, right? They had a book that was too niche, too specific, too narrow of an audience. When you're publishing a book, you want the widest audience possible. It's different than a lot of other things that you might want to market, because you want a broad base of readers. Because if your book is going to be on bookstores and retailers and sell well on Amazon, you have to appeal to a wide audience. So think about your book from this perspective and say, what is the widest audience possible you can reach with this book? You need to know who your target customers are. It's very important. But you need to also make your book appealing to a wide array of people. If you can't do that, it's unlikely your book is going to be commercially successful, and it's unlikely you're going to get a book deal. Number 9 is organization. So when folks buy nonfiction books, they're not buying your ideas. They're buying the structure, the organization, right? So think about it this way. Let's say you go to hire a personal trainer. Why do people spend hundreds of dollars an hour for personal trainers? Because everyone knows how to go to the gym and just lift weights. That's easy. You pay money for the personal trainer because they have a structure. They have a workout plan. They have a routine. They have a proven system that has worked again and again and again and again and again and again. Your book needs to be the same way. You can't just tell people how to work out. You have to have a structure, an organization that allows them to go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4, all the way from 0 to expert, from 0 to fit, right? How do you do that? You really invest in thinking about the structure, the organization, the content of your book. I highly recommend you work with an editor or friends who are really smart, who can read your book and help you organize it in a way that readers can follow from page 1 all the way to the end and follow along easily, and it's clear, and they don't get lost, and they know exactly what to do every step of the way. The organization of your book is crucial, so invest time in making sure that readers aren't just buying a list of ideas, they're buying a highly organized set of ideas that will give them a transformational result. Your reader's life should be different after they read the book than it was before they read the book. If your book isn't changing their life, it's not going to make a big difference in life. They're not going to tell all their friends about it, and you're probably not going to sell a whole lot of books. Now, step 10 is focusing on the reader. A lot of authors, we make the mistake, we write for ourselves. And it's wonderful to be an artist, to write for yourself is a wonderful thing. And it's the perfect place to start with your dream of writing and publishing a book. But when it comes time to getting your book published and marketing your book, you got to focus on the reader, right? You have to realize at the end of the day, your book is not about you, it's about your reader. The difference you can make in someone's life who's going to read this book and it's going to change their life, right? And if we're going to help this person change their life, we need to focus on them. We need to help them the best we possibly can. And that means as the author, you have to avoid repetition. You have to make sure that you're not just saying the same thing over and over again and getting people bored, because people will start to lose focus. When you just say the same thing over and over again, they lose focus. You need to make sure your stuff is focused and organized, okay? You also need to make sure your ideas follow the logical order, right? Again, it's like the organization and structure needs to be really clear from step 1 to step 2 all the way to the end. You've got to read your book as a reader who knows nothing about this topic would read your book. And so go, if you can't do it yourself, if you can't find that objectivity within yourself, ask people who know nothing about that topic to read your book, and ask them if they get lost. Ask them if they have issues, questions, problems with it, and grill them on this and work with them to find a way to better structure your book, to make it easier to read for readers. You know, the simpler you make it, the better you make it for readers, the better result they're going to get, the more people are going to tell about your book, and the more books you're going to sell. Number 11 is getting your chapters right. So every chapter in a nonfiction book has to serve a specific purpose. Every chapter has to serve a purpose. So your book obviously needs to be organized in chapters. It has an organizational structure. But every chapter on its own must serve a purpose. It must have a reason for existing. If you go through your organization and your outline of your book and you realize, hey, look, you know, these 10 chapters are really important, but chapter 12, not so important, you need to remove it, right? Because every chapter has to have a reason for existing. It has to provide some value, some insight, you know, solve a problem for the reader. If it's not doing that, you gotta get rid of it. And that's step 12, cutting the fluff. If it's not necessary, you have to remove it. Whether that's removing a whole chapter, a whole section, a paragraph, a sentence, or just a word or an adjective that's not necessary, you gotta remove it. Your writing should be tight. It should be concise, all right? You're welcome to have your own voice and your own style, that's wonderful. But a lot of authors make the mistake of just having too many adjectives, too many adverbs, too many paragraphs they don't need, too many chapters they don't need. And when you look at your book from the perspective of what's the essential core of this paragraph, the essential core of this chapter, the essential core of this idea, and you remove everything that's not the central core, you're gonna have a much more powerful book, a much more powerful message, and readers are going to like it a whole lot more. Now, step 13 is the final step. You've got to write a great summary for your book. Your summary is the essential core of your book, your message. What is your message? What is this book about? And so we've got a great blog post at tckpublishing.com/nonfiction book synopsis. So go to that link, go to that blog post, read it, and learn about how to write a great nonfiction book synopsis and include that in your submission to TCK Publishing. Now you can submit your manuscript once you follow these steps at tckpublishing.com/submissions. Our editors are looking forward to reviewing your work and hopefully working with you to get your book published and help market and promote it. If you have any questions, feel free to post your comments below. I hope you found this information very helpful. I hope you will apply these 13 steps to your manuscript right now. I hope you will then submit your book to TCK Publishing, and I look forward to working with you on getting your book published and helping you take your career to the next level. I'm wishing you an incredible day. Take care.